Ipswich Town are in an immense battle to get promoted to the Premier League with Leicester, Southampton and Leeds. But what we've done today is simulated to the end of this season, and Football Manager has predicted them to get second place just behind Leicester, ahead of Leeds and Southampton getting promoted into the playoffs. But we are here to concentrate on Ipswich. We'll be doing a full 24-25 season playthrough / realistic rebuild. We're looking to keep Ipswich in the Premier League while signing realistic players, using the players they have in real life and seeing if we can compete and stay up in the Premier League. To start things off then, we have made 3 realistic tactics based on how Ipswich are playing in real life. We've got a fairly standard 4-2-3-1. We've got an attacking 4-2-3-1 against teams we think we can beat, and a more defensive 5-back system which we can also use against the big teams in the Premier League. And this is going to be absolutely pivotal in how we play this season. I will quickly click through while talking, so anyone that wants to copy these tactics, you are more than welcome to. They are also available on Patreon with the rebuild file that you get at the end of this season if you want to pick that up, but that is all to talk about in a later point. So that is the very standard 4-2-3-1 we have gone with, and you can see there's a few positions that I want to improve on. Now we are going to be doing this in a realistic manner, so there is players that are going to be playing in the club, are not going to be in the starting 11, but are going to get lots and lots of minutes. So to start off, a brand new goalkeeper I think is needed. Heladecki is going to be staying as the backup, but I think an upgrade is pivotal to Ipswich staying in the Premier League. The back 4 we're going to be keeping as the same. Clark, Wolfenden, Tawanzabi and Leif Davis as our starting back 4, and as our backups we've kept Donasian as our backup right back / right centre back, because there is the potential to go into that 3-back system, and I think I'm going to be keeping him. That's someone that might change. We might sign someone else who can do that. But Burgess and Edmondson are also staying. We are looking for a brand new backup left back. Our CDM, we are using Sam Morsey, and I'm looking for a brand new partner for him. Now Massimo Lungo is a massive fan favourite, but we are looking for someone else to play in that role, and Cam Humphreys I think is just that tiny bit not ready to play next to Morsey in DM in the Premier League, so we're signing someone else there, and someone that does mean that misses out on. Number 1 is Don Ball, and number 2 is Jack Taylor. Now it's one that I'm going to be looking to sell, and I understand it might be a little bit controversial, but he's just not ready for the Premier League on Football Manager, and to be honest, in starting DM in real life they play Morsey and Luongo, so I think someone upgrading on Luongo makes more sense, but keeping Luongo around. A brand new right winger is going to be necessary. Amari Hutchinson has played there a lot this season, but he is back at Chelsea. Connor Chaplin starts in Cam, of course, as our shadow striker. I think we're going to bring in a brand new left winger. Nathan Broadhead is currently the man we've got there, but I think he's going to move into the backup. Same for George Hurst as well. Now he has been fantastic, but I think a brand new striker is needed. Based on the strikers we have here at the club, Fred Ladapo I don't think is good enough. Caden Jackson I don't think is good enough, and Ali Al-Mahdi signed in the January transfer window. I think we're going to be loaning out and looking for a superstar striker to take Ipswich to the next level. Based on the development centre, there's not too many wonder kids I need to keep keeping my eye on for this season. So that is fairly good that we are going to have a very set squad. Finances wise, things are looking quite good. We have got a lot of money to spend, £42 million and £150,000 in wage budget. Now, I'm not going to be going absolutely crazy. Like I've said, we are doing this in full realism. So making realistic signings only and keeping things as realistic as possible while trying to keep Ipswich in the Premier League. Obviously, it's going to be very, very difficult. It'll be nice if we can get a cup run, FA Cup or Carabao Cup, and looking for really between 14th and 8th I'd be extremely happy with, and obviously anything above 8th I'd be absolutely buzzing. So let's get into what signings we can make for this season. So we have spent £30 million. My first signing is actually a free agent one, and it's Koen Casteels coming in from VfL Wolfsburg. He is consistent, he likes big matches, he's 32 years of age, he's never gone outside of Belgium or Germany, so I think it's time for him to come to England on a free agent signing. He is a massive upgrade in goal. I was actually looking at getting David De Gea, but he said no, so Casteels is the man I've brought in. And Sam Byram is my second and only other free agent signing, and that is simply because he can play right back, left back and centre back, and was free agent, released from Leeds. He's definitely not a Premier League level player, but he can play in those positions, and simply as a rotational option in all three, I think it's a great bit of business. Moving into where we spent our money, and a backup centre back / left back is Jacob Greaves. He's 23 years of age, has lots of experience at Hull in the Championship, and now comes here to Ipswich in the Premier League, and is a backup to Leif Davis at left back, and Leif Davis is one of our best players, so I didn't want to go absolutely crazy Kempi, but I did want to bring someone in that's quite young, that's English, and has the ability to come in here and also make a difference. If we switch in to that 5-back system, he's great on his left foot, he's got great defensive attributes, but can also cross, and he's consistent, and he likes big matches. We then spent £6 million on our brand new left winger, Myron van Brodende, signed from AZ Alkmaar, looking to come over to England. He's consistent, got great pace, great finishing, and great composure, and I've actually won the Champions League with him here on this channel with AZ Alkmaar, so you never know. This first season at Ipswich, he could be brilliant. And the right winger is someone Ipswich now know and love. It's Omari Hutchinson. Yes, we paid the extra money to bring him in from Chelsea. £12.5 million is what it's spent, but I think if Ipswich do get promoted, I think with that sort of money, they could bring Omari Hutchinson in. So that's exactly what we've done, and I think it's a very realistic thing to happen. The penultimate signing is someone that I'm going to be rotating with George Hurst. It's Sebastiano Esposito. Now, the money went very, very quickly. £40 million isn't a lot, and that's all we spent. So we spent £5 million of it on Sebastiano Esposito. Great first touch, good finishing, great penalty taker. He's another big target forward-like striker, but just a little bit more experience. Very good on the ball, likes big matches, and I think as a rotation with the two of them, they'll probably play pretty much half the games each. That's a very good signing. But finally, we have brought in Nicholas Raskin from Rangers, a very aggressive, front-footed central defensive midfielder, capped from Belgium, cost us £12 million. As a ball winner, aggressive, brave, can tackle, likes big matches, very fast as well, either-footed, just 23 years of age. I think is a fantastic signing, and the team now looks incredibly strong. Castile's in goal, Harry Clark, Wolfenden, Tuanzebe and Leif Davis at the back four, with Raskin and Sam Morsey in DM. Omari Hutchinson on the right, Van Brodende on the left, Connor Chaplin and George Hurst up front, and the backups, Heladecki, Byram, Burgess, Edmondson, Greaves, Luongo, Cameron Humphreys, Marcus Harness, Wes Burns, Nathan Broadhead and Sebastiano Esposito. This squad is looking very, very good. There's a few players we're still trying to get rid of, so once we finish the August transfers, I'll see if there's anything else in terms of outgoings, but we have got a fairly difficult start to the season in the Premier League. We're away from home against Spurs to kick things off, Everton at home, away from home against West Ham, and then Palace at home. Quite a difficult start. How many points can we get? Well, as expected in game number 1, away from home against Tottenham Hotspur, we did lose 2-0 thanks to a Heung-min Son brace, and it nearly made a hat-trick from the spot, but a very good performance playing in our 5-back, just 2-0. Really isn't that bad. Well, the first game at Portman Road in the Premier League in absolute years was here, and in 1 minute, Myron van Brodende got us 1-0 up, and it was a fantastic start to his Ipswich career. 86 minutes on the clock. Beto scores for Everton, 1-1. And the 94th minute, the absolute drama of the Premier League, Sam Byram whips it in and Nathan Broadhead is there. And Ipswich are 2-1 winners against Everton. The first game at Portman Road brings the first win. We then beat West Ham 2-1 away from home thanks to Connor Chaplin and Myron scoring again. And finally drew 1-1 against Crystal Palace. A Michael Elise penalty is all that stopped us from having an absolutely fantastic start to the season. And in this game, kept 60% of the ball and had 14 shots. A simply brilliant, brilliant start. We have been knocked out of the Carabao Cup already by Brentford. They beat us 2-0. We were away from home. A little bit of a shame, but to be honest, it is what it is. I'm more concentrating so far on staying in the league. The FA Cup will be hoping for a much, much better run. In the Premier League, we're on 7 points, sitting in 7th after 4 games. An absolutely brilliant start. In terms of outgoings, there's only a couple to really talk about. Caden Jackson's left to Sheffield United for $3 million. Fraser Ladapo has gone to Paderborn for $100k. Jack Taylor's gone out on loan. Baggett's gone out on loan. Matt Ward's gone out on loan. Nothing else has really happened, and I don't think we're going to do anything on deadline day either. We've got no money in the bank, no wage budget spare, so I think this is the team we're going to be running into the season with, and I think we're going to be okay. And I actually think top half there is a tiny, tiny opportunity to go and get. This month is Brighton, Southampton, Arsenal, and October is Liverpool, Fulham, and Manchester City. So this is going to be a big, big test. Well, against Brighton, we were absolutely robbed by a 93rd minute João Pedro penalty. We then beat Southampton 3-0, goal from George Hurst, Nathan Broadhead and Marcus Harness. We were actually on some very good form despite that loss. And then we lost 8-1 to Arsenal. one of them games. And after that loss, it was time to face up against Liverpool here at Portman Road, and it was a night for the ages. A screamer from Leif Davis from 35 yards out makes it 1-0 before some hold-up play from George Hurst, finding Leif Davis yet again, finding George Hurst in the box, makes it 2-0 in 27 minutes, and another goal isn't going to come until the 75th minute. Leif Davis finds the ball into Cameron Humphreys, who finds Colin Chaplin in the box to make it 3-0, and we are going to get a fourth. Sam Byram finds Colin Chaplin yet again, driving into the box, edge of the box, fires home, past Alisson Becker. It's 4-0. Liverpool are going to get a goal back. Wataru Endo finds Kevin McAllister, as if that actually just come out of my mouth. And Diego Jota scores to make it 4-1. I wasn't even trolling, I actually just called him Kevin McAllister. A massive 4-1 victory. Away from home against Fulham, we sadly lost 2-0. A Saka Lukic 89th minute penalty makes the game look a hell of a lot worse than it actually was. But again, at home, facing up against one of the biggest sides in the league, Manchester City, we drew 1-1 and are showing that we can actually compete with anyone in the league, especially at home. This left us sitting in 13th place, 10 games, 4 wins, 2 draws and 4 losses, 14 points and a whole 6 points clear of the relegation zone after 10 games. A very impressive start for the Ipswich boys. Obviously, though, we had a busy this November and December coming up. Chelsea, Manchester United, Brentford and Wolves, 4 very difficult games. Before facing up against Forest, Villa, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Leicester and Everton in December. Could we keep this form up and keep up this this non-relegation season up? We started off losing 4-1 to Chelsea and losing 2-0 to Manchester United. We did bounce back with a 1-0 win away against Brentford after having just 2 shots all game, but this was the start of some pretty bad form. We lost 1-0 to Wolves, 1-0 to Nottingham Forest, and getting a massive George Hurst injury for 6 weeks. A 1-0 loss to Aston Villa, an incredibly boring 0-0 against Newcastle, and a 1-0 loss against Bournemouth meant it was 5 games in a row where we hadn't managed to even score a goal. Lucky for us, that did all change as we faced up against Leicester with a Burgess backstick header in the 27th minute, making it 1-0. Full Colin Chaplin whipped it in from deep. Wes Burns found Nathan Broadhead, and we did go 2-0 up, and we had finally had 3 points on the board. And while we did lose 3-2 to Everton, Sebastiano Esposito finally got his first and second goals of the season. But to be honest, my mind is made up. We have been given a grand total of £20 million to spend in this January transfer window. And that is because that drop of form means we are just 3 points away from relegation, 3 points away from Leicester. And I think we are in need of a goal scorer. We are not scoring many goals this season at all. As we check out the data hub, just 1 goal a game on average, conceding 1.6. So defensively and going forward, we're going to be looking to bring in a few players, whether that's players on transfer list or on the loan market. I'm going to try and utilise that. The FA Cup, now I hope for a little bit of run in this one. We've been drawn up against Liverpool, so most likely we'll be out pretty quickly. But let's get into our January business. Before we get into the January signings file, I want to say this save file and the free tactics are all available on Patreon, which is on the link down below. For £5 a month, you help support me out massively. You get 3 amazing tactics built for Ipswich, and you get a save file where hopefully we keep Ipswich up from relegation, and you can carry on this amazing save all down there on Patreon, £5 a month, and it helps me out a whole bunch as well. But who do we bring in January? Signing number 1 is Morgan Rogers in on loan from Aston Villa. He can play across the front 3 or as a striker and comes on loan paying just £35,000 in his wages. I think it's a brilliant loan signing. And to make it even better, we've signed Jaffet Tanganga for just £450,000 as a permanent signing. He's on £30,000 a week. He's ours, and he's already got a value of 10 million. He's consistent, can play centre-back and can play right-back. And I think it's a great deal for 500k. And we've even brought in his teammate Joe Rodon as well, also from Spurs. 1.5 million is all it's cost us. This guy's extremely consistent, does like big matches, and is a leading championship centre-back / lower league Premier League. So I think it's another great signing. £2 million, 2 massive centre-backs have joined the club, and one of them could even play at right back as well. And finally, to solve our goal scoring issues, Vladislav Vanya comes in from Dynamo Kiev. He has cost us £7 million, but he has 16 finishing, good composure, great determination, and is incredibly quick and adds a different dynamic to our front line. So when we do use an advanced forward rather than a target forward, we have a striker that actually has a bit of speed and can deliver. So he joins the club. But how have we got on in January? Well, to be honest, we did start losing 2-0 to Spurs, and we went down to 10 men in 35 minutes thanks to a Wes Burn red card. But we bounced back against West Ham for 1-1 draw. And then we beat Crystal Palace away from home thanks to Vladislav Vanya getting his first goal for the club. Up next was Brighton. And in this game, we played in our attacking 4-2-3-1 system with our wing-backs bombing forward and an advanced forward in the middle. And we went 1-0 up thanks to a goal from Myron van Bredende, who hadn't scored since August. So it was massive to get him on the score sheet. Then some nice build-up play before Amari Hutchinson scoring to make it 2-0 in 22 minutes. Brighton, however, were not going to roll over. Jean-Paul Van Hecke made it 2-1 before Harry Clark found Wes Burns, who found Wes Burns again into Morgan Rogers to make it 3-1 in 74 minutes. And a fourth was going to come in the 97th minute from George Hurst at the back stick. And also to finish off the transfer window, we had to play against Southampton away from home. We lost 1-0, which is a little bit frustrating, and I'd like to get a better result out of this one. But the Premier League table was looking a little bit better. We were now in 28 points, 15th place, and back to having a 6-point gap. And we weren't too far off getting into the first half either. Chelsea in 10th were just 6 points away, so it was more than doable to get into that position. As mentioned, we did have Liverpool in the third round of the FA Cup, and as mentioned, we were probably going to lose. We lost this game 3-1, goals from Darwin Núñez and Ryan Gravenberch and Diego Jota. Absolutely gutted we haven't made a cup run in either competition, but it does look like we're going to have a good season in terms of our Premier League safety. And we kicked off February as well with a massive scalp, beating Arsenal 1-0 thanks to Vladislav Vanya scoring yet again. We did then lose to Liverpool 3-0 thanks to goals from Konate, Thiago and Kvaratskhelia, and then faced up against Fulham at home, where we were looking to make Portman Road an absolute fortress yet again. We went 1-0 down thanks to Andreas Pereira at the start of the second half. But that woke a beast inside of us, and Raskin found Burns, who found Tanganga to the right-hand side to find Vladislav Vanya in the middle to make things 1-1 in 61 minutes. We're then going to push a lot of pressure onto Fulham as we go for 3 points. Tanganga involved again, a deflection off Tim Ream, and it's 2-1 to the mighty Ipswich. It is now the 93rd minute, and there are still 2 goals to come. Morgan Rogers finds Connor Chaplin to make it 3-1, and Connor Chaplin, well, he fancies a brace. Morgan Rogers on the left-hand side of things finds Leif Davis. He finds Connor Chaplin. He spins his man. He makes it 4-1 and a massive victory for the mighty Ipswich. An absolute performance of the ages. March was met with a 2-0 loss to Chelsea, followed up by a convincing 1-0 victory against Brentford thanks to a goal from Luke Wilfenden. I genuinely believe we're having a very, very good season, and it pushes us up to 13th position, 3 points away from the magic 40 points total you need to stay safe in the Premier League. With 8 games to go, we are now 10 points clear of the relegation zone. Away from the top half, it's just 5 points. That is the goal for the rest of this. 8 games to go. Can we do it? Well, we started this month against Manchester City away at the Etihad, and we go 1-0 up thanks to a goal from Leif Davis in from the right-hand side. A very good finish. And it took City to the 71st minute for Mateo Kovacic to drive past Raskin and make it 1-1, but a very good 1-1 draw against one of the best teams in the country. We then drew 2-2 against Wolves, 1-1 against Nottingham Forest, and we kept on drawing after drawing 2-2 away against Manchester United at Old Trafford with goals from Connor Chaplin and George Hurst. Finally, the drawing streak had stopped, but it was to a loss against Aston Villa, before we turned our form around away against Newcastle with goals from Nathan Broadhead, Morgan Rogers and Marcus Harness, a 3-1 victory away at St James's Park. We then beat Bournemouth 1-0 thanks to a 91st minute Joe Rodon header, and if we win the next game, we secure top half football. Well, Tachunia is going to make Leicester a fantastic start after scoring in just 11 minutes. A brilliant run from the right-hand side and a fantastic finish in the end. But just after the second half whistle had gone, Leif Davis finds the ball into the box and George Hurst heads it home to make this game 1-1. And we are going to grab a second as well. Some fantastic build-up play, amazing hold-up play from Hurst as well. And Hutchinson finds a finish into the back of the net to make it 2-1. Harry Winks on the right-hand side for Leicester does find Nelson, who drives into the middle of the pitch and fires one past Casteels to make it 2-2. Before the final 17 minutes of the season, we're going to grab our last goal. Wes Burns fires past Slojicic and he scores, and it's 3-2 to Ipswich, the final result, and we have secured the top half of the Premier League. But what makes it even better is thanks to the incredible UEFA coefficient rankings, that secures 9th place, and the Europa Conference League is going to be played at Portman Road for the 25-26 season. Now, this rebuild file is available for Patreon that anyone that wants it, along with the free tactics. That is all going to be linked down there, so you can go and get them. What a fantastic rebuild it has been, and Ipswich top half the Premier League while making incredibly realistic signings and using realistic tactics. We've spent £39.5 million, raised £4 million, made some great signings along the way as well. And in terms of our squad, our top goal scorer, George Hurst, 11 goals. Second, Connor Chaplin, 8 and 6. Third, Nathan Broadhead, 5 and 2. That right there screams the realism. 3 people that have smashed it in the Championship, smashing it in the Premier League as well. Brand new signing, Vladislav Vanyak got 3 goals as well. Myron Van Bredende, 3 and 1. Amari Hutchinson, 2 and 2. Leif Davis, 10 assists from left back. And one of the most impressive things from watching Ipswich in real life is how good their fullbacks are. So I'm very happy that we emulated that exact thing with the Leif Davis performances. And what I will say as well in terms of the formations used, we really did use a mixed range of every single one. Against the hard teams, we used the 5-back. Against the easier teams at home, we used the attacking 4-2-3-1. And against the sort of the middle of the range away games or home games against the likes of Fulham, we've used the standard 4-2-3-1 system. And we used that over the entire course of the season. And our best run of form this last 3 games, we used the attacking 4-2-3-1. It was very, very good. And this sort of run here, you can see we've used a mix of the both. I think the 3 formations complement each other very, very well. And we were actually a very strong side. We built a real foundation, a real core. And if you do want to pick this save up, as mentioned, it's on Patreon down below. A massive thank you for watching. If you haven't already seen how we turned Wrexham into Premier League champions, that video is linked just there.